Tucker Carlson interviewed Auron MacIntyre of The Blaze, and they discussed how conservatives actually have their own cancel culture, namely for anti-Semitism. And this phenomenon shows that there's a divide between younger conservatives who are not necessarily on board with that. And you might say that Tucker is the titular head of this skeptical faction. In fact, he tore right into that issue in the interview. Let's take a listen.
So I feel like the Trump administration is finally figuring out that aligning yourself with Benjamin Netanyahu, while there's definitely some overlap in interests, and I don't think any of this is personal, but when you form an unbreakable alliance with any foreign country, you're likely to get hurt, and American interests are likely to get hurt. And I think it's dawning on them.
And you just know Tucker wanted to say that on Fox News, but that was not going to fly with Robert Murdoch. The idea of questioning our relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, while there might be some interest aligned, as Tucker says, not necessarily. That is quite the heretical statement in conservative media. Auron responded of the Israel-Palestine conflict, quote, "Why should we get involved in either side of that?" And he concluded, quote, "It's just not our problem."
And it's just not our problems. There's no reason we should have our money, our treasure, our people, or more importantly, our moral worth tied up to any of this.
But things only got more edgy from there. Tucker mocked the notion that he's somehow a tool of Qatar. Indeed, this allegation that people critical of Israel are paid by Qatar is ubiquitous, and I don't frankly know if there's any truth to it. In George Washington's farewell address, he warned against entangling alliances, and it's like we've learned nothing. Or maybe Trump is learning, Tucker speculates. Trump is learning about maybe showing some caution in wedding ourselves to Israel on everything. The boys had a fairly profound discussion about the decline of the West, and they both found particular fault with England.
If you look at the UK right now, they're completely destroying any free speech tradition. They're completely destroying any Anglo understanding of rights. And they're all doing it in the name of creating this multicultural society that England never had in the first place.
MacIntyre commented, quote, "They're completely destroying any Anglo understanding of rights." Indeed, it's depressing to think about how politically correct and woke England has become, where you literally get arrested for hurting someone's feelings, if they're from a protected group. This is especially sad considering the swaggering British Empire, when they were hardly Mr. Sensitive. Quote, "Those are the founders, Anglo-Protestants 100%. Tucker and Auron discussed the Anglo-Saxon roots of the country, which is not necessarily exclusive to people with Anglo-Saxon blood. In fact, it's a cultural identifier that transcends Anglo-Saxons and Protestantism. It's an identity taken on by Jewish people and Italians if they so choose to identify with the core of the country, or at least what used to be the core. However, Tucker is quick to point out that this doesn't mean entire peoples are interchangeable. Quote, "When you change the people, you change the country." So that's obviously true. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, but it does logically follow. MacIntyre makes a great point that the Constitution begins with, "We hold these truths to be self-evident," but those truths are only self-evident to a particular people in a particular time, and maybe their progeny. It wouldn't necessarily work in Afghanistan, nor would it be self-evident to them, for example, because they just have their own way of doing things. And I have my own way of doing things. I'm Michael M. Vlog. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to my channel.